Hey folks, welcome back. I'm your host, R.R. Slugger, and if you've watched my channel before, you might know that I've made some disparaging remarks about 2007's Mars mission theme. Well, I'm here today to set the record straight. I was wrong about Mars mission. To prove it, let's go through a number of the sets together right now. Let's start with some of the smaller offerings. LEGO Space has a long, storied history with sets of this size, some of which are really great. I'm sure a series as popular as Mars Mission will keep this proud tradition alive. Well, I like the robot. These two, though, are really bad. This astronaut is piloting his propulsionless spaceship with a steering wheel, and this alien is piloting his spaceship with his feet. No printed control panels like we used to see all the time in LEGO Space? Alright. Well, let's talk about the minifigures then. In order to do so, I need to establish some context. Mars Mission's most direct comparison is to the previous LEGO Space theme, Life on Mars. In that theme, astronauts from Earth discover Martians living on Mars and work together to create interesting new space vehicles, combining their two technologies. In Mars Mission, astronauts from Earth come to Mars to plunder its resources and enter into a blood feud with hostile aliens trying to do the same. Isn't that wholesome? The astronauts from Life on Mars each had names, unique torsos, and awesome chrome blue space helmets. The astronauts from Mars Mission were all given a one-size-fits-all spacesuit and painted gold visor. Where previous space themes had molded air tanks, Mars Mission opted to simply print them on. Where previous space themes had unique face prints designed specifically for them, Mars Mission opted to reuse various face prints from other themes present at the time, haphazardly mixing art styles together in a random assortment. This all feels really cheap. But maybe they were saving all that money for awesome alien designs. Life on Mars had so many unique and interesting Martian characters. They really were one of the highlights of that theme. They set the bar pretty high, but I'm sure an excellent series like Mars Mission will have no problem. That's it, huh? Couldn't even give them arms? Oh, we tried that? But then the transparent plastics started to seize up, so we had to make some last-minute alterations to the alien design and rush them out the door to meet a production deadline? Yeah, that checks out. For what it's worth, we did get an alien commander later on that made some improvements on this design, but I think it's too little too late. When you compare it to the impressive legacy of LEGO Space minifigure designs that came before, Mars Mission is bottom of the barrel. But everyone's always telling me that I'm wrong about Mars Mission, that it's actually really great. The minifigures are lousy, so they must be talking about the sets then. Let's take a look at some of the mid-sized offerings. These are usually some of my favorites within a series. To start things off, we're rolling in with the MT-21 Mobile Mining Unit. Well, not so much rolling in as sliding in. These inverted tile pieces on the bottom are just designed to drag along the ground. If you remove them, then the wheels don't turn. Is this for real? Well, to be fair to the designers, this was a brand new wheel type introduced within Mars Mission, so it's only reasonable to give them a bit of a pass as they work out the kinks. Just kidding, this wheel type had been used in nearly every space theme for 15 years at that point. This is just bad design. It's a shame, too, because I actually do quite like the shape of the vehicle. Except the trailer. Yeah, okay, what else have we got? Well, helping to make the unfavorable Life on Mars comparisons more unavoidable is the MT-31 trike, a direct remake of the classic T3 trike from the previous theme. You'd have to be a total mook to say that it would be unfair to juxtapose these two, right? Like, it's in the name. So why then is the Mars Mission iteration so much worse? It has size on its side, I'll grant it that, but what else does it have going for it? The Life on Mars version has a well-constructed cockpit and chassis with various hose and headlight details. The MT-31 trike looks like a cheap knockoff in comparison. The T3 trike has a modular Technic pin system that allows it to interconnect with other sets within the series. The MT-31 trike has an alien prisoner pod that falls out anytime you pick the set up or try to play with it.
What?
The T3 trike has suspension for each individual wheel via the use of elastic bands. The MT-31 trike has 2-axle suspension achieved through the means of constantly crushing a rubber piece and physically bending a pair of Technic beams.
I hate this! It is revolting!
Okay, maybe the alien ships are better. Let's take a look at ETX Alien Strike. I like the overall round shape of it, and even though the ratchet hinges are not designed to maintain this amount of weight, it does have a fun shape-changing gimmick. There's even a cool spinning engine feature on the back. The cockpit design, once again, features no controls, and the building technique of shoving bar-sized handles into Technic pins is at the very least immoral, if not illegal. Oh well. As long as it results in a way to keep our pilots secure. Oh, you have to attach a clip to their back and plug them in that way. But then you have these ugly clips sticking out the back of them when you want to play with the minifigures. Who am I kidding? Calling this alien a minifigure is an insult to minifigures. Well, at least there's a side build. Surely the pieces wasted here could not have been better spent bolstering up the weaknesses of the main model, R.R. Slugger exclaimed in the most sarcastic tone he could muster. I feel like a broken record saying that I like the idea behind this build, but still have fundamental issues with the execution. For example, this cockpit design is really quite novel, but it's going to be spending more time staring at the floor than anything else. We really could have used some ratchet hinges here, guys. At this point, I have to stop and ask, how many Mars mission sets do I need to buy before I find one that's any good? Every single one we've looked at today, I would classify as subpar or worse. C-tier stuff at best. At best! Alright, so maybe only the large sets have any merit in Mars mission. That statement alone should be an immediate red mark against this series, but putting that aside for now, let's look at the largest set I own from this theme, ETX Alien Infiltrator. Once again, there's a side build, but this is one that I was actually really excited about. This little mining mech looked amazing on the box art. But when I got a closer look, I couldn't believe my eyes when I learned that the legs are just attached using 2x2 turntables. Like, what?
What?
Swivel walkers have used this technique before, but they've previously had 2 axles of movement, keeping both feet in line with each other. Here, each leg just wobbles and rotates around uselessly. As we make our way up to the body, we come to a pair of arms that don't match for some reason. One of which is holding a tool that can't properly scan the surface because the hose sticking out the back is applying too much pressure in the wrong direction. To top it all off, we have a cockpit design that can't actually close all the way while an astronaut operates the mech. Seriously, there's no way to position this minifigure inside without the canopy hitting their head before being able to seal completely. Okay, the main build. Despite suffering from the universal problem that seems to plague this whole series, that being not understanding how physics work, this is far and away the best model we've looked at today. Striking through the skies, the Alien Infiltrator allows Mars mission to briefly soar above the haze of mediocrity. Besides the tasteful sticker work and cheese slope details, the craft can even transform into a sort of walker or weapons platform. It does so by... Wait, are those Galador joints? I was wrong about Mars mission!